Sweet mother of mercy, the Denver Broncos just get phenomenal news. There's not a playoff team from last year who is in a better situation than we are when it comes to the salary cap moving forward and the needs on this team. This team already was good, and we're young, and we're going to have plenty of money to do whatever we need to do to fill in the gaps, and I think we have less holes on this team than the other teams who have less money than us. We got to break all that down. News about the NFL salary cap just blowing up and how great that is for us. Get news about Ashton Genty, that and way more. We got to dive in here. So the big news of the day is that thanks to Peacock and YouTube TV and Netflix and all of those different things and all the places the NFL is going, the NFL continues to be the cash cow and to be the king of all of sports and TV. And because of that, the NFL salary cap is ballooning again. So over the past 2 years, we are up $53 million in salary cap. Salary cap, again, is the max amount that a team can spend on its players. And I just have to give a massive shout out to how the Walton Penner ownership group handled the Russell Wilson situation. If we hopped in the hot tub time machine and we went back just 2 years, we all felt paralyzed by the Russell Wilson contract, and we thought, hey, it's going to be 5 years until we can get out of this dead cap space. And the ownership group, thanks to Sean Payton pushing them on that, basically said, hey, if something is best to do inevitably, we got to do it right now. Like, let's not kick the can on it. And they did. And they cut Russell Wilson and had the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history. And it happened at the perfect time, because while you have that money that you can't do anything with, the true dead cap hit, the NFL salary cap balloons by $53 million. Now, they could have never predicted that really offsets a ton of the money that we had to waste for Russell Wilson to go and play with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I just think it's phenomenal, and I love the fact that they were bold with it, and now fortune favors the bold. And just my big takeaway from that is, like, there's so many things in my life that I've like kicked the can on that I'm like, oh, someday I'll do that. I used to be 100 pounds heavier, and I kept saying like, oh, I'm going to start a diet in 2 weeks, but I just bought groceries and I don't want to waste the money on all this crappy food I just bought. Well, I should have just tossed it and got down to business right away. So if you are waiting to do some change, follow the direction of the Walton Penner ownership group, because if you're going to make a change, start right now. Like, there's no need to wait for it, and fortune favors the bold, and sure enough, it really does for the Broncos. So let's look at how phenomenal this really is. So moving into next year, and I actually think it's going to be a little bit better than this even, but the Broncos have about $42 million in cap space with the cash richest owner in all of pro sports in the U.S. And I'll talk about why that's a good thing in a second here. But taking a look at just really where we are at here, you see that we are really the upper middle of the pack, and there are very few AFC playoff teams who are in better situations than we are. The only team on here that you're like, oh, there's an AFC playoff team better than us, is taking a look here at the Chargers, having quite a bit more money to spend than we do. But you got to also remember that they're moving on from Khalil Mack and from Bosa. They need an edge rusher to step in there. That's one of the highest paid positions that you can go out and get. They also need help at wide receiver, and they're in the market for T. Higgins. And if you listen to Sean Payton, he's like, hey, we're set on that. So you look at their biggest needs with more cap space than we have, and you might be like, oh, I'm a little envious of that, but they have higher paid positions. Like, our needs, inside linebacker is a relatively low free agent position, and safety is a relatively low free agent position. So we can easily meet our biggest needs, whereas their biggest needs are going to take a bigger chunk of the cap than ours will. But then also just phenomenal news looking at all of these teams behind us who are neck and neck in the playoffs with us, seeing that they're behind us. The Colts also need to pay some high money moves, and they're behind us, and they were neck and neck for that playoff race. Love seeing this, that the Chiefs, even with that giant bump, only have $8 million in cap space, and look at this giant list of guys on their team that they need to get. We know they need left tackle help, right tackle help. That's a very, very high price free agent move right there as well. Phenomenal news to see that there's not a team above us who you really are envious of. Bengals, like, a little bit envious of, but they also need massive help on their defensive front. And this $53 million is before the Jamar Chase deal, which is rumored to be a $40 million a year deal. And the T. Higgins, if he truly is franchise tag, he's going to be making 20 something. So you're going to be all of a sudden over the cap and having to cut people on your defense. So there's not a playoff team above you on here that you're envious of. Like Raiders, yep, you got a ton of money, but you also have a ton of problems and no quarterback. Steelers, you're above us, but you also are going to actually have to pay for a quarterback next year. And so you're going to see all these teams above us who have to spend more money. The other crazy advantage that we have is that because we have a cash-rich owner, that is a tremendous asset when it comes to really shoring up this entire thing. If you take a look at something like what Nick Bolton or Tufanga are going to command on the free agent market, you could structure this deal in a way, and we'll just use round numbers. Like, let's say you were to give them a 5-year, $50 million deal. If you do not give them a signing bonus, a 5-year, $50 million deal, that's going to cost $10 million per year off the cap. But because our owner prints money, he could give them a $30 million signing bonus on that. And the only downside to a signing bonus is that if they don't play out the life of the contract, that's dead money cap hit like we had with Russell Wilson. But let's say we do a 5-year, $50 million deal for Nick Bolton, give him a $30 million signing bonus. Then year one, his base salary would be $1 million, and then you divide that $30 million over 5. So you could be talking about having Nick Bolton for $6 million a year against your cap. So you could really structure this in a way that is tremendously advantageous. So not only are there no teams above us, there's no teams above us who have nearly the amount of cash to make a great deal here at the as free agency open. So I think $42 million is phenomenal for the Broncos to be working with, and I think we can patch a lot of our needs up even before the NFL draft hits because of how we will structure that. And I think Sean Payton and Bo Nix have proved that this is a franchise you want to hitch your wagons to, and Bo Nix has made it a destination. So I think with the fact that you'll get a massive signing bonus coming to Denver, that's an advantage. 300 days of sun, that's an advantage. Working with an elite coach and an elite quarterback, that's an advantage. We even heard Deebo Samuel talk about this is the team he wants to be in. So I just think it's a great news. This is also based on the salary cap being $279. The league memo that went out predicted where is it? Right here. That the deal, the salary cap would be between 277 and 281. Now you remember last year they made a prediction right about this time, and it was about $5 million over even their lofty prediction. So we know that the bean counters are counting low. So this could even be higher than that 277 million, which is what this is all based on. So I think phenomenal news all around when it comes to the salary cap. And I'm super, super encouraged and like challenged by George Paton. Like there's things in my life that I'm kicking down the can because I've got spent money. Like, oh, I've already done all of this. Like, get rid of that. If there's something you want to do in your life, do not wait. Do it now. Fortune favors the bold. Love that from the Walton Pennership Ownership Group. Last thing I want to talk about and just get your opinion in the chat is there are several opportunities for the Broncos to play overseas, and I'm curious, what are you all thinking about that? So it is announced that the Chargers will open the season in Brazil, and then the Jets, who we also play this year, are in London, and then the Colts, who we play this year, are in Berlin. Which of those, if the Broncos were to have an overseas game, would you most be excited about? I love the fact that 3 of our away teams basically lose their home field advantage from that. I also love the fact that Sean Payton has used strategically that East Coast road trip to do team development and bonding and to build this culture here of a winning culture. And he, booked that cool bunker basically, and the guys were horseback riding and paintballing, and they had a college atmosphere. They all talked about how that was crucial to their development. And Sean Payton said that he would want a chance to go overseas. So I would be thrilled with any of these. I think I wouldn't want the first game to be away in Brazil. We saw how bad the field conditions were for that last year. So that one doesn't make me that pumped. I do, and I also think the Chargers is a pretty easy place to play for us. And so that's not a home field advantage I really care about eliminating. I'd love if we didn't have to play in New York late in the year because of the conditions, and that would be cool. If that could be paired with another East Coast game and we just stay over there and then fly across the pond. The other one I don't really want is I'm hoping to drive to the Colts game with my son this year. So I kind of want it to be in Indy because that's a 3-hour drive from where I'm living now. and Berlin would be much, much further. But either way, I'm excited about it. I hope the Broncos do get an overseas game because I think it's an advantage for us. I know Sean wants it. I know he wants to build this young and hungry college-type atmosphere, and he could have that opportunity here with a overseas international game. Let me know what you think in the comments. Sound off on it. Broncos country, as always, we've got a ton to believe in. Kiss the rim. Come on, man.